Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I don't know if you guys have seen the series Blown Away on Netflix, but I watched it recently and it got me super inspired by the art of making glass and glass blowing in general. So today you're going to watch me create a branding identity for a glass studio called Kiln. Super excited about this one, let's get right into it. So I've used Pinterest to source my inspiration as well as my own knowledge of glass blowing. Now with my mood boards, I don't like to start too specific as I can always trim the fat once I've brought all the inspiration and images into Millernote. So now that I've got all the assets in place, I've brought them all into Millernote and now I can go and sort out a direction for the brand and the board. As you can probably tell, I really want to use typography to convey the different forms of the glass blowing process. And I think the best way to do this is by using the variation in the type to sort of portray strong bold letter forms along with more fluid loose letter forms as well. I'm also leaning towards using gradients within the brand, as colour and decoration of glass pieces can be so vivid and experimental. And in terms of the colour, I've extracted the colours that were within some of these images that I brought in from Pinterest just to create a few different palettes that I can try. I've created a few because at this point I don't want to sort of limit myself at this stage of the process, and just to bring it all together I pulled some stock imagery of glass blowing in session, which I think ties together the mood board quite nicely. So I'm now getting to sketching the logo type. I've got a pretty cool idea in mind which will demonstrate the variation in letter forms, so I'm just making a start on that right now. I think I'll use a pre-built typeface with the K, the I and the N, but I wanted to sketch them out here just to see what the L would look like. So I'm going to fast forward this bit and I will see you when I have finished. I'm pretty much there with this now. I don't want to try and perfect this just yet because I'm going to tweak it in Illustrator anyway. So I'm going to airdrop this over to my Mac and I will see you over there. With the sketch now in Illustrator, I'm ready to finalise the logo and make the tweaks that I want to. So I want to use a bold sans serif, but I want to accent the L in Kiln, which is going to portray the sort of fluid and malleable part of the glassblowing process. So at the minute my go-to sans serif is called Obviously by Oh Type, and I think one of the weightier variations of the font family will work really well for this, but the star of this logo type is going to be the L. So I've grabbed the pencil tool and now I'm just going to draw in my own L. I want it to have a slant like a script font so that I can overlap it with the I and the N. And this is looking pretty good. I'm going to use the sort of smooth tool to smoothen all the lines out just so they're nice and curvy. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my width tool to make the middle more narrow and the terminals of the letter to be sort of the widest part of the letter itself. So I made a couple more tweaks and I've got it in place now, so I've made a duplicate just so if I mess up I can always go back. And now I'm going to bring all the letters in nice and close so I can get that overlapping effect with the L. After outlining the stroke, I now need to make this outline, so I need to go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and then just pick how many pixels I want to offset it by. Select round as the joins, click OK, and I'm going to change the colour to white, and there we go, looking pretty cool. Now I'm just going to add some secondary text underneath the logo type, just to give it some context. So I've chosen the wide font from this font family, and I'm going to basically do the same thing again, but use this circle to create like an arch around the top right of the logo type just to try out a different option. And it certainly doesn't hurt to have different variations of the same logo with just tweaks here and there, as long as you don't stray too far away from the original concept, just so that you stick into some sort of consistency for the brand. So I've just finalised the main logo type, and now I'm going to move on to the brand mark or the submark. And I'm going to take the L to make the submark, which can be used to represent the business on a smaller scale, such as social platforms and other marketing materials. As it's a custom mark and has the meaning that I want it to portray, I think this will be a strong brand mark that can be used in multiple situations, such as social media, like I said. So I've come up with a few concepts now for the submark, and I've decided to use the one with a dot in the middle for the brand pattern. I just think this will fill up the empty space quite nicely. So in order to turn this into a pattern, I need to select the submark, go to Object, Pattern, and then Make. And then this is going to bring up this window here where I can make adjustments to the pattern and sort of tweak it until I'm happy with it. So I'm going to fast forward this part and I'll see you when I'm happy with it. So I've just finished tweaking the pattern, and all I need to do now is click the done button, and this is now saved to my swatches panel. I can then go and grab my square tool and drag it onto the artboard and click on the swatch to apply it to the shape. And that is pretty much it. I'm very happy with how this is looking now. So it's time to grab my colour palette of choice, and I'm going to start to bring these brand assets to life. After trying out the colours that I'd pulled from my mood board, I've settled on the first palette, which was the blue and the off-white, and I've also chucked in a slightly desaturated black as a third colour. So I really like this palette for the brand because the blue is really striking and bold, and it contrasts really nicely with the white for a clean look, but it also creates a little bit of tension with the black that I think balances the palette quite well. Now here I'm just creating 3 variations of the elements I've created so far, just so I can showcase each in each combination. I want both combinations to refer to the finished pieces of glass, but also the immense sort of tension and pressure in glass as it turns from liquid into a solid form. And to really demonstrate the nature of glassmaking, I want to take that idea of constant changes of form and represent that through a custom gradient. And I've used the colours of the brand to make this, and I really love how I've managed to manipulate the colours to create a swirling motion. The only other things that I did to it was just add some blur and noise, and that's about it. So for some reason I had this phrase that popped into my head which could be used as a bit of a tagline for the brand, which is blowing glass and kicking ass. It just adds a bit of attitude and character to the brand, which I quite like, and this could be used anywhere really, from like merch to marketing materials. I think it's quite catchy and could be used independently from the brand name. One of the things the client wanted in terms of their goals was to start a workshop for people to learn glass blowing in their studio. So I thought I would create this ad concept for them to use across social media as well as print. So for print, all I'd need to do is edit the document size and adjust the elements to fit whatever sort of size that they're going for. The final part to bring this whole brand together is to create some merch that the glass blowers can wear whilst working, as well as to sell. I've settled on creating two different versions of a black t-shirt design. One includes an emphasis on the first submark I made as the front print and the logo type on the back, and the second one features a more straightforward front print with the main logo in white with the K submark on the back at the top of the t-shirt. So I intentionally chose black as the garment colour because glass blowing can get quite messy, and because it's very much a physical medium, clothes they wear get sweaty and muddied up, so I wanted this to be something that they could wear every day without worrying about getting it dirty or ruining it. With the t-shirt designs now complete, that wraps up another really cool project, and since watching Blown Away, I've always wanted to create a branding identity for this space, and it is finally complete. So now it's time for the best part of the video, which is to show you a little reveal of the brand, so let's take a look. And that signifies the end of this video, so I hope you've enjoyed this one just as much as I've enjoyed making it. And yeah, I've not really seen anyone else make a sort of video on a Glass Studio branding identity before, so I thought this would be a bit different and interesting for you guys. So yeah, if you've enjoyed it, do us a cheeky favour and like the video, comment on the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in a bit.